Howdy customers, and welcome to another edition of Vic's World. I'm Vic. Yes, I'll get to you in a minute. Got a lot of feedback from the last couple of programs. We're back live, of course, here from the Geezer Dome at a top secret location. We're just seating a few people there, race helping a few people sit down. They've had to bring their own chairs. And some of them didn't bring the folding chairs, like I said. They brought sofas and deck chairs and all manner of things, but we'll get to it in a minute. Now, last week we spoke about the war on cats. The war on cats, they would tell you, is all about wildlife safety. But they're God's creatures, and they, the statistics or the survey that they base these laws and regulations on are extrapolated. In other words, they did a small sample somewhere, I think it was in England or Scotland, and then they just multiplied it without any consideration for environmental characteristics, type of wildlife and other factors. So it's a very sandy thing, and it's all because they're cat haters. Now, it was bad enough they used to shave pussies, but now what are they doing? They're trying to kill them. And there was an online debate during the week where one guy boasted that he had guns and he'd shoot cats, as if the Australian federal government didn't have enough issues, and now it's all on cats. And you try to explain to your pussy that he can't go out, or she can't go out, or whatever gender it is. They can't go out because there's laws. Try to tell them, oh, you can't go over that fence, you can't go there, you can't go there. This is how crazy the Australian elbow ALP government is. Just madness, isn't it? Okay, last week we also spoke about the boss of Qantas, who's in the middle of a Senate inquiry, but he can't come back. Why can't he come back? He's left the country. He said he can't do even video links, and now they're threatening to bang him up, of course. Why was he allowed to leave the country with all the problems of Qantas, with sacking people unlawfully, which has been found in the courts, obtaining money? And why aren't the police investigating the fraud aspect of that too? There was a real estate agent that I know of, and that's what brought them undone. False COVID claims, things like that. But why did they let him leave the country? Must be because he's special friends with Elbow. Usually, if that happened to you and me, trust me, you'd be banged up, have to surrender your passport and all sorts of things. And this is, we're talking big money. I noticed with interest recently, the government spoke about a productivity commission. Now, there's a misnomer for you. Think about this for a minute. A government, hardly known, any government, hardly known for their efficiency, has introduced a productivity commissioner. And we're trying to find out exactly what a productivity commissioner does, because it's a bit unclear. It'd be a bit like the wolves appointing a head wolf to look after the sheep, wouldn't it? Productivity. Think about that for a minute. We've had a lot of feedback from Bunnings, and not from Bunnings, from shoppers that go to Bunnings and Woolies and all the other stores where they want you to do self-serve. Stick to your guns. Tell them. They want you to use a self-serve? No. You don't work there. What are they going to give you for it? Oh, that's right. Remember that too. We've had a lot of feedback, and we're not getting to all of it, straight away. It'll take us a bit of time to get to it, right? The finance markets are still playing around. They're still talking about the interest rates. Are they going to steady? Other real estate? It's all manipulated. It's like monopoly money. They put them down to get people in, then they put them up to get more from money they gave you before. They already gave you the money. Now they're saying to you the deal they agreed with has got to be changed. Does that sound right to you? And while we're at it, let's think about your licenses. We spoke last week about your driver's license. You've got a license that says you're going to abide by all the motor rules, all the traffic rules, right? Do you know them all? I spoke to some lawyers since we've done this, and one lawyer said, look, we don't know them all. We had to run back to the office and get the printout. And I said, did you check if they were amended. Oh, he said, I'm not sure about that, because when laws get amended, it takes time. Then they have to be what they call gazetted, in other words, made official. And it goes, so really, why don't they tell us, oh, you've got a licence and this has been changed or that's been changed? Why don't they tell us? Are you aware? Why don't they send us a booklet or an email or something? Say, look, we've changed this rule, we've changed that rule. That would be fair, wouldn't it? Or you could just surrender your licence and run the gauntlet. When they pull you over, you just say, look, I can't help you, officer. Do what you have to do. You don't have to answer, by the way, if you're ever questioned by authorities. You're under no compunction. They'll threaten you and huff and puff and blow the house down, as they say, but you're under no compunction to ever answer to anybody, including giving your name. All it says is you've got to produce a licence. But do you have one? Is it valid? Did you hand it in? Did you suspend it? Did you just forfeit it? Give it back to them. That'll tangle them up. Go to the RMS, have everyone queued up and give them back your licence. They won't know what hit them. Okay, well, the voice is going nowhere, by the way. The voice that everyone doesn't know what it's about. And the voice doesn't tell you what they're going to do with the existing, very expensive Indigenous authorities. The bodies they've got, that some figures I've heard cost $40 billion a year to give Indigenous people help, they're going to be superseded by the voice, but are they going to be replaced? That's the thing. Speaking of funny people leaving the country, I see where the Victorian Premier has stood down. I'm sure having a Royal Commission into the COVID reaction has got nothing to do with it, because everyone thought Elbel was going to cover for him, but now Dan Andrews has stood aside all of a sudden. Don't forget, this was the guy that inflicted mercenaries on his people in Victoria. He had people, treated all sorts of ways, brutally. So, but when you watch the world news and you look about what's happening in other places, don't forget what they did to the lovely people in Victoria, how they treated them with mercenaries and water cannons and armed police, and the mercenaries weren't always police and the police weren't always mercenaries. They were from security services. That's how it is. What else have we got here on the list? Look, Ray's been a bit slack. He's too busy holding court at the cafe. That's my role. Don't forget, we're always welcome, and we're going to start setting up a website soon. We've got some information from Dr. Murphy about the full story on climate change. No, you can't get in your car and put on climate control, because if you do that, the politicians that are obsessed by this stuff will say, no, that's not enough, that's not enough. It doesn't matter. They want wind turbines, that they've got to wreck the roads to get there, and that are destroy environment, and then they're going to kill the big birds. That's what they want, okay? But they haven't worked out, do they actually make enough energy to compensate for it? They don't actually know. They're just doing it because they don't know, and they want to distract you for real things, like the price of petrol. You know how much that is now, okay? And these are all the things that are we're trying to bring to you. Don't forget, if you want to contribute to the program, emails coming up on the screen now. You want to help us in some way, anything, suggestions, feedback, anything you like, we don't mind. Just try to be nice and try not to swear too much at us, because I'm a bit sensitive, being not metrosexual, but I get a bit touchy if people sort of raise their voice and are unkind to me. Okay, so just think about that too. I think that's about it for this week. Thanks for tuning. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, feedback, whatever you do. Join us again.